Hello, dear students. Now start the study. In this video, we will study about uniform motion and non-uniform motion, speed and velocity in detail. Okay, then start now from uniform motion and non-uniform motion. Okay, first we know about uniform motion. What is uniform motion? Very simple definition and very simple concept also. Okay, so what is uniform motion? So we say if an object travels equal distance, if an object travels equal distance in equal interval of time, however the time interval is small maybe, okay, then the motion of object is called uniform motion. Not understood? Once again listen my speech once again, what I am saying. What is uniform motion? What is uniform motion? I am saying if an object travels equal distances in equal interval of time, however time interval may be very small, okay, then the motion of the object is set uniform motion. Now understood here. Let this distance is 1 meter. This distance is 1 meter. This distance is 1 meter. And the object covered these distances in 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. This type of motion is called uniform motion. When any object travels equal distance, 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter, equal distance in equal interval of time, 1 meter covered in 1 second, once again 1 meter covered in 1 second, once again 1 meter covered in 1 second. This type of motion is called uniform motion. 2 meter in 1 second, 2 meter in 1 second, once again 2 meter, 1 second. Okay, in every second covered equal distance. Okay, so this motion is called uniform motion. So what is the definition that I said? When any object travels equal distance in equal interval of time, the motion of the object is called uniform motion. Maybe time interval is very small. Okay, so when any object travels equal distance in equal interval of time, however time interval may be very small, the motion of the object is called uniform motion. Okay, now we see non-uniform motion. What is non-uniform motion? Let's, this is 1 meter, this is 2 meter, this is 3 meter. When any object covered unequal distance in equal interval of time, in first second covered 1 meter, but in next second also duration is 1 second, covered 2 meter, in next 1 second covered 3 meter. So this distance is equal? No, this distance is unequal. So if any object covered unequal distance in equal interval of time, then this type of motion is called uniform motion. Maybe time interval is very small, not 1 second, less than 1 second, but every time is equal. But distance covered in every second is not equal. So this motion is called non-uniform motion. So what is non-uniform motion? When any object travels unequal distance, first second 1 meter and second 2 meter, in third second 3 meter, not equal distance, but time interval is same in every 1 second. First second 2 meter, second 2.5 meter, third second 6 meter. This is different distances, but time interval is same. So when any object travels unequal distance in equal interval of time, however time interval may be very small, the motion of the object is called non-uniform motion. Understood? Good. Now we will see speed. What is speed in details? Okay, see. Now we will study measurement of rate of motion. Measurement of rate of motion. Actually, we want to study about speed. I want to say you something. What is? Actually, we all observed the motion of different object. We all observed the motion of different object. We see that different object covers equal distance in different time. Same distance in different time. We see this. We see that cycle takes more time to cover a definite distance, but car takes less time to cover that distance. Yes? If we go to school from home, cycle takes more time, and same distance when we cover by car takes less time. Understood or not? It will be seen. This is seen. So the object that covers given distance in less time, we say that rate is fast. That rate is fast. But the object that covered the given distance in more time, we say that speed, that rate is slow. Actually, this is called rate of motion. Rate of motion. Sometimes we say this. When we covered a distance in less time, my rate is high. My rate is fast. When we covered same distance in less time, so in more time, so what we say? Slow. My rate of motion is very, very slow. Slow, fast. These all words specify the rate of motion. The rate of motion. This rate of motion is called speed. So what is speed? What is speed? Actually, speed is what? The distance traveled by an object. The distance traveled by an object in given time interval is called speed of that object. What is speed? What is speed? What is speed? The distance traveled by an object in per unit time is called speed of that object. The distance traveled by an object in per unit time is called speed of that object. So, what is the formula of speed? Distance upon time. This is the formula. The speed, what is? The distance traveled by an object. Distance traveled by an object in per unit time is called speed. Understood? The distance that I cover in per unit time is my speed. And speed is a scalar quantity. Speed is the scalar quantity. Speed is a scalar quantity. Have no any direction. Speed have no any direction. It is represented by V. It is represented by V. It is a scalar quantity. Its unit, distance unit, meter per second, or you can say meter second inverse. Second goes to upper, that is second inverse. This is unit of the speed. Understood, beta? And now I want to tell you something others. In automobiles means scooters, bikes, there is a instrument fitted that is called speedometer. 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 What it's done? METER. It's measure the speed of the vehicles. This speedometer measure the speed, instantaneous speed. Instantaneous. What is instantaneous? What is instantaneous? Just now, at any instant, immediate speed. Understood? Immediate speed. When I am running, I am moving, I am traveling at any instant. Immediate speed. What is speed of my car? Speedometer measure that. Okay. So this is speed. So what is speed? The very last, the distance traveled by an object in per unit time is called speed of that object. In per unit time, what is that distance that I covered? That is called my speed. Speed is equal to distance upon time. That's measured in automobiles by speedometer. I also want to tell you something other else. Actually, beta, you know, while we traveling by a car, traveling by car, what we will see? We will see that, we observe that sometimes car moving too fast. Sometimes car moving too fast, and sometime car moving slow. That's you seen. In the open road, there is no crush. We fast bicycling. But in crush, we moving very slow. So sometime we speed up the car and sometime slow down the car. So at this time, if you declare the my speed, if at this time we declare the speed, this speed is non-uniform speed. This is not uniform speed, beta. To appropriate this speed, we have another way. How can we calculate the speed at this time when my speed sometimes fast and sometimes slow down? This is a different way to express the speed. That is called average speed. That is called which type of speed? Average speed. So what is average speed? What is average speed? Trying to understand what I am saying. How can we calculate the average speed when our speed is changing continuously, sometimes too fast, sometimes too slow? So the average speed of any object, average speed of any object. What is average speed of any object? The distance, total distance traveled by the object. The total distance traveled by the object. Total distance traveled by the object divided by total time taking. Total time taking is called average speed. So what is average speed of an object? The average speed of an object is the total distance covered by the object divided by the total time taking to cover that distance. It's called average speed. Once again, average speed. So what is average speed? Once again, what is average speed? The total distance covered by an object. Total distance covered by an object divided by total time. Total time take to cover that total distance is called which speed? Average speed. Okay, and now average speed is also V is equal to S upon T. That is total distance and total time. Its unit same, meter per second. It is now complete, beta. Average speed. Any problem? So now we see what is? Now we see something other else. What? Velocity. Okay, let's see velocity. Now we know speed with this direction. That is called velocity. First, trying to understand what I am saying. The distance covered by an object. The distance covered by an object can be determined by the speed. Can determined by the speed of that object that in motion. Distance covered by an object can be determined by the speed of that object. How much distance I covered? How much distance I covered? 10 meter, 20 meter, 40 meter. It can be determined by my speed. Understood? How much distance I covered? How much distance? 10 meter, 20 meter, 30 meter. It can be determined by my speed. By my speed. But what is my position? What is my position? What is my position where I am during my motion? During my motion. With the time. With accuracy. Correct. What is my position? What is my position? With the time. With accuracy. To determine this, we need speed as well as direction also. What I am saying, are you understood? To determine my what? Position. To determine my position. As well as direction. As well as direction. With accuracy. How can I know this? We must know any other physical quantity that can tell me my position with direction. With direction. Once again, trying to understood. The distance covered by an object. Covered by an object in certain time can be determined by the speed of that object is in motion. But the position of an object, the position of an object can be determined by the distance as well as direction. As well as direction of the object that is in the motion. Understood? So the quantity that represent specifies both. That represent both. What both? Distance and direction. Both is called velocity. Is known as velocity. So what is the definition of the velocity? The distance covered by an object. The distance covered by an object in per unit time in a given direction is called velocity. So what is velocity? The distance covered by an object in per unit time in given direction is called velocity. There is a minute difference between speed and velocity. What is speed? The speed of an object is the distance covered by an object in per unit time, but not in given direction. But velocity, the definition of velocity is said, the distance covered by an object in per unit time in a given direction is called velocity. Understood? What is velocity? And if the distance is in a definite direction. Distance in the definite direction. What I am saying? The distance traveled by an object in a definite direction. The distance traveled by an object in definite direction. So this distance is called displacement. What I am saying? The distance traveled by an object in definite direction is called displacement. So the definition of velocity is also such type, the displacement of an object in per unit time. The displacement of an object in per unit time is also called velocity. Understood? It is total now. If a body experienced displacement s vector in per unit time, then this is called velocity. V vector is equal to s vector by kya? T. This is a vector quantity because displacement is a vector quantity. It's both magnitude also and direction also. Its unit also meter per second. Meter per second. So there is two types definition. Two types, not same. Both are same. What is velocity? What is velocity? You can say velocity means the velocity of an object is the distance covered by an object. The velocity of an object is the distance in per unit time in given direction. Either you can say the displacement of an object, the displacement of an object in per unit time is called velocity. Understood very well? This is formula. V vector is equal to s vector by t. It is a vector quantity. It's a both direction and magnitude. Its unit is meter per second. And now, velocity is a vector quantity. Velocity is a vector quantity. So it's a both magnitude and also direction. So velocity can be changed if there is change in magnitude. Velocity can also be changed with change the direction, and velocity also be changed when magnitude and direction both change simultaneously. Actually, velocity is the vector quantity, okay, and vector quantity have magnitude and direction. If magnitude is changed, then velocity change. Either if direction change, then also the velocity change. If any one of them, magnitude and direction, in any one of this, either magnitude or direction, any one is changed, then velocity change. And velocity also change when magnitude and direction both change. Understood? So with the change either in magnitude or direction or both, velocity will be change. Understood? So the velocity of an object, can be uniform, maybe uniform or variable. Velocity of any object may be uniform or variable. Either you can say non-uniform. So what is uniform velocity? What is uniform velocity? What is uniform velocity? When an object undergoes equal displacement in equal interval of time. When any object undergoes experiences equal displacement in equal interval of time, equal displacement in equal interval of time, equal interval of time, then the velocity of the object is uniform velocity. Understood? Now once again I said, when the object undergoes, experiences equal displacement in equal interval of time, then its velocity is set uniform velocity. And what is variable velocity? When an object undergoes, experiences covering, when an object undergoes unequal displacement in equal interval of time, when any object undergoes unequal displacement, sometime this, sometime this, sometime this, unequal displacement in equal interval of time, then its velocity is set variable velocity or non-uniform velocity. So there is two types of velocities, uniform velocity and non-uniform velocity, either variable velocity. To determine the rate of the motion of the object of such type, variable velocities. To determine the rate of the motion of the object suffering from variable velocity, we need average velocity. I am object, I am moving, I am running from variable velocity. From variable velocity. My velocity is permanently changing. Then how can you determine my velocity? At that time, we use average velocity. What is the average velocity? The ratio of the total displacement. The ratio of the total displacement and total time taken by the object in motion is called average velocity. So what is the average velocity? The ratio of the total displacement made by an object in motion and total time taking to cover the motion is called average velocity of the object. This is the average velocity. Okay, this is total average velocity. Also, if an object is moving with non-uniform velocity, then the magnitude of the rate of motion can be expressed in the term of average velocity. So what is the average velocity? The ratio of total distance of object that is in motion and time taking covered by the time taking by the object is called average speed, average velocity of that object. And I also want to say to you, in case the velocity is changed, with uniform rate, velocity is changing with uniform rate. Uniform rate means 2 meter per second in north, 4 meter per second in north, 6 meter per second in north. Velocity is changing in uniform rate. This is uniform rate. Change is definite. So if velocity is changing in uniform rate, then the average speed, how can we say? How can we determine the average speed? Try to understand. If the initial velocity is u vector and initial velocity is u vector and final velocity is v vector, then average velocity is u vector plus v vector upon 2, or you can say u plus v upon 2. This is the average velocity. When average velocity, when you can say the average velocity is u plus v upon 2. When you can say, actually you can say when velocity is changing with uniform rate. When velocity is changing with uniform rate. Uniform rate means 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12. Uniform rate velocity changing. So the initial velocity is u vector, final velocity is v vector. Let's initial velocity is u vector, final velocity is v vector. Then at that time, average velocity is u plus v upon 2. That means to say average velocity is initial velocity plus final velocity upon 2. Okay, we will meet in next video with next topic. Okay, if you have any problem to understand this, comment me. I told you once, I tell you once again. Okay, goodbye.